Hi everybody. Right, this one is about GDPR, General Data Protection Regulations. Right. As cake makers, it sounds a bit corporate. It sounds a bit like it wouldn't necessarily apply to us, but it does. Excuse the state of me. You're here for information, not for me. Yeah? Right. So, GDPR. It's all to do with the data that we hold about people. It's legally mandatory to comply with this. So you do need to listen and you do need to recognise why it's important. When you think about the information that we hold about our customers, right, we have the names, we have quite often have their addresses, their email addresses, sometimes even the workplace addresses. We know the names and the ages and the birthdays of any family member that they order cakes from. You know, we've got their kids' names. We can easily work out their date of birth. So we don't want this information in the wrong hands, right? So this is why these laws came into place. Also, if ever we've refunded anything, due to COVID, a lot of us have given refunds of deposits this last year. So we'll have their bank account details or the PayPal addresses, and if someone's getting married, having a civil partnership, we know what their sexuality is and they have a legal right to have that information protected. Obviously, they might be rightly shouting it from the rooftops, but that's not our information to give out. So we need to keep that information secure. So under these regulations, we're only allowed to hold information about people for a specific purpose and only for as long as it's needed. So if you scribble down someone's bank details because you're sending them a deposit, as soon as that's processed, destroy that piece of paper. If the cake's gone out, you don't need to keep all the details of that cake. You will need to keep some information, for example, environmental health. If you get a complaint, they'll want to see in your diary when you serve that customer and what your process was. That's for your due diligence. You can say, yes, they told me about a certain allergy, so I carried out these measures to make sure that allergen wasn't present, etc. But it doesn't mean environmental health need to be looking at your full diary with other people's orders and information in it. I'm not saying your AHO is going to steal that information, but legally you have to protect that information from anyone else. So if you are keeping details on paper, it needs to be kept under lock and key. You need a filing cabinet, a lockable filing cabinet. If you're keeping information on your laptop, keep it password protected. Make sure you've got all your malware and whatever you've installed. If you've got their email address and you like to do email marketing, for example, even if you've got them on Facebook Messenger, unless you have their specific permission to do so, you're not allowed to contact them in that way. Most people are not going to mind, and they're certainly not going to report you. But you have got to respect the fact, and you need to know legally that you've only got you've only got certain permissions to use that data for. So the way to really safeguard what you're doing is don't ever collect more information than what you need. If they're picking up the cake from you, you don't even need to know their address. I know you might have a standard contact form, but you don't need to know everything about these customers to be able to serve them a cake. So only collect the information that you need. Minimise the risk at every single step. As soon as you're done with some information, get rid of it. If you've got your order sheet on paper, think of what information's in there, the kids' names and ages and what have you. You only need to have that for your own records if you're going to need to present it to environmental health. Even the tax man doesn't need to know who you've had payments from, they just need to know what payments you've had. So do get rid of anything that you don't need, full stop. And like I say, minimise your risk at every step. keep everything under lock and key, password protected, and you're absolutely covered for your GDPR. So don't think it's this horrible, scary topic and it's a bit over your head, because it's genuinely not. It's basically think about what information we hold about people, get rid of anything that you don't need. Once the order's processed, you don't need to keep hardly anything. All right, hope that explains a little bit. Ask me questions, because I know I ramble a bit, so get in comments and by all means ask me for clarification if I've not made myself clear. Right, thank you.